Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and we're here for another Dead by Daylight tier list. This one we just had the 2v8, and I figured as a Survivor main, I wanted to say how bad these combinations were. Some of these combinations were very godlike, and some of these actually really did not work well together. And I'm gonna base it off of me being a Survivor, so some of you guys will disagree. I know a lot of killers would disagree because I feel like one, if you have communication with the other person, some of these combinations work out a lot of best of the time. I feel like a lot of the killers that I went up against during this 2v8 mode were not together. There was definitely, let's just say I played 40 games. I probably made more than that, but like let's say I played 40. I'd say maybe 35 of them seemed like they were singles, and in five for sure they had to have some communication. So let's rank them from S to D. S being a godlike combo, D being was super easy for the Survivor side. So let's go with the Speed Bros. I don't know if I'm gonna nickname all of these, but yeah, I guess we'll see. This was a super dangerous combination because of how much of the map they could cover, and like they'd be on you, especially if you finished a gen. They'd be right there. They'd be getting back to the hook super fast. I hated this combination. I put it in A. I might put it in S, but I want to go through all the combinations before I really do because you gotta like stop and think about it, and then once you do, then you're like, well, there's some other stuff that was worse and some stuff that was better. So next up we have Hillbilly and Gunslinger. Like slant eyes, like their eyes are kind of slanted. I don't know. I was trying to think of a team name, but not really. Weird faces. I don't know. Come back to me on it. Um, this combination actually didn't feel like super good. Like they weren't the worst, but I don't think I really had much issues ever seeing this combination. I didn't see it much though, so I don't know if that's good or bad too. Like you had a lot of map control of like getting around with Hillbilly, but then like it didn't feel like you really got like a lot of range because they were like one's really close, one's really range, but they never seemed like they could coexist really well. I'll put it in C. I don't think it was that bad. Next up, you had Hillbilly and the Huntress. This was like more of the like really popular one last go around. I think it was. Was Hillbilly on it? It was one of the speedsters and the Huntress. This overall, I think it was about the same with the Gunslinger one. Like they were definitely worked and got some good kills, but it didn't feel the worst. Next up, we have the Nurse and Hillbilly. I actually never really had much of a problem with this one. I'll put it in the middle. It wasn't like I feel like these were a little bit better, but like it just felt like it was middle of the road. You had to have a really good nurse player. I think the hillbilly part didn't really bring the team up, but if you had a okay nurse player, you could just run over him. And if you didn't have a good nurse player, it's just like that. It's the same thing with the spirit. I just felt like that combination with having the speedsters and stuff. A lot of the times they would both go back to like a completed gen, and then like a lot of other people would get away. And I don't know. It just felt like it wasn't the greatest. Next up, we have Trapper and Hillbilly. Um, Again, I feel like Trapper was definitely the weak link in some of these games. Um, I feel like there was only really one good combination with Trapper, so I'm gonna put it down in D. I don't feel like it was the worst thing that we saw. Trapper and Bing Bong, I mean Bing Bong and Hillbilly. I feel like in general Bing Bong was a good combination character. I'm gonna put that in the little bit towards the top. It was pretty good because if you had somebody chasing you with that, and then Mr. Phillip would come out of nowhere, it was felt pretty deadly. Blight and Deathslinger, again, I think it just kind of is around the same combination. It didn't feel super overpowered, and it felt like you could get some gens done, but you definitely had to. The higher skilled players comboing really helped. Help that because I feel like it was weird. Like when you would think that like you had one melee person or like one range person, it would help you out, but it felt like it really wasn't. It felt like more like you really didn't have that much synergy because you were all over the map and you were so far out that like you couldn't really close in the gap. I don't know. It maybe that's just my experience. You guys will have to tell me how what you guys felt. I'm gonna put Huntress over here too. I just feel like the range. Now Blight and Nurse, I think it was about the middle of the thing. Again, I think Nurse was kind of that person that's always going to be in the middle because I don't think it was like anything too crazy, I'll put Spirit up here too. It just meant on how good these teleporting characters were that they like had somebody going across the map because I don't feel like they had the synergy. Like sometimes I would remember like a I would finish Gen solo and then I'd have Spirit come to me and then the Blight would be running right towards me too and then they just spent all that time just to down me and like even they weren't working together it just seemed like they were both doing the same thing. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. Blight and Trapper, I don't think it was that bad. I'll put it towards the bottom. Um, Bing Bong and Blight, still don't think it was super bad. Then we got Gunslinger and Huntress. Now, this combination I felt was extremely deadly. I don't know why, but it just felt like every single time you were trying to go in any type of open space, you were getting shot out and hit with at like the axe. Like I remember I'd get shot and then I'd get pull away just away from it and then get an axe immediately. And I don't know if that just was good combinations or people were working together, but it felt pretty deadly. I'm gonna put it up towards the top. Deathslinger and Nurse, I'll probably still put it in the middle. I think the lot of the middle just happens to be if how good the Nurse was and the Spirit players were. I hate to put all those teleporting characters like that, but it really felt that way. Like it could really didn't matter what killer you had because if these teleporting killers were good, it didn't matter what their combination was because they were doing all the work. I had games where like there'd be a nurse that'd be downing everybody, and then their second person that wasn't a teleporter just wasn't that important. I don't know. Maybe it was just me. Deathslinger and Trapper was a terrible combination. I don't know why. I felt like Trapper is super underpowered in this mode sometimes, and this one didn't feel like it really helped. Um, I would probably put this around here too. Bing Bong was a little bit better than Trapper, but it really didn't seem to work super well. Um, Huntress and Nurse, I'm gonna put these in the middle. Unfortunately, I wish I was a little bit more variety, but it kind of felt that way. And then this Trapper Huntress combo, we saw a lot. I feel like that probably was like one of the biggest combos that I saw this go around. Um, Other than maybe like the two teleporters together, but I felt I saw this a lot and it worked pretty well. I'll probably put it up towards that. I feel like that was probably Trapper's best combo and or like second best combo. I feel like he still had one other different one that was a little bit better, but it was still pretty deadly. Next up, we had Huntress and Bing Bong. Again, I think was a pretty deadly combo. I just think between a lot of those like killers that were up close and then the range, they just worked really well together on these two only. Uh, just again, my fave. The two teleportings, that was the worst combination to go against. Man, did it felt like every time you unhooked or popped the gen, there would be two killers on their way to you. They had a lot of control. They just could down one person and they could just go be going all over the map. And that end game stuff was impossible to go against. It felt like I hated that combination. Nurse, Trapper, again, just kind of the nurse, depending on how it was. Nurse Bing Bong did feel a little bit different than the Trapper one, but I still kind of feel it's middle of the road. Next up, Trapper and Spirit. I think that's in the middle. Same thing with Spirit and Trapper. And then last but certainly not least, we had Trapper and Bing Bong. I feel like this combo is pretty solid. I feel like Trapper definitely shined in this one. Um, and like it just felt like they were always big bodies chasing you. To a certain extent, like you could always tell what was going on, but again, it was still kind of deadly. So I'm gonna probably put this at the top. It was weird because I think like I saw this combination a lot, and I feel like a lot of the times, this is at least how my matches went. The Bing Bong that was in it was just downing people left and right, and then just chasing people towards like a central location that was just filled with traps. Because the trapper you wouldn't see for like the first 10 minutes of the match, it felt like, and then all of a sudden you'd be seeing that sideboard just light up with people landing on traps, and maybe they were working together and it worked really well, and maybe a lot of times when I got this combination, it was two people that knew each other, but it definitely felt like it was a synergy couple. But when you think about it, it shouldn't have worked as well as it did. But maybe it was just my games. I don't really know. Tell me what you guys think because it is interesting though. Like I don't feel like it went there's not like probably a lot of like your rank or your play that went into this. It probably just was a random queue, and they didn't care about like what your ranking is or your. I could be wrong. I don't think it did on this mode as much. So if that was the case, I really want to see what other people's combinations they really hated. So I would definitely say this is a combination. The Nurse and Spirit is a combination I hated the most. And the combination I never minded seeing probably was Hillbilly and Trapper. Honestly, seeing Trapper in general, other than if he wasn't with Bing Bong, I didn't really care too much. It just felt like most of the Trapper players that were playing just didn't feel like doing traps. I think that was probably part of their reasoning. And I mean, that's kind of what Trapper does. So, yeah, this is what I thought. Hope you guys enjoyed this tier list. If you liked it, comment below what you thought was the best and worst combo, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.